Good morning to all the viewers and to my professor whom I don't know because he doesn't put his name on the virtual page of the university. My name is Brian De Freitas and today I'm here to talk about modal verbs. How are modal verbs defined? To understand and learn modal verbs or modal verbs correctly, it is important to remember that they are never conjugated with the grammatical persons of English: I, we, you, they, she, he, it, in other words. They never have an infinitive, for example, there is no to will. They should never be used in a gerund, for example, there is no pudding. They will never have a participle, for example, there is no mustard. Modal verbs can express from needs, probabilities, abilities, requests, suggestions, advice, conditions, to difficult and complex ideas such as modality. In this way, its meaning can be transformed depending on the verbs and the related context in the sentence. Let's analyze a sentence with modal verbs. I must drink this medicine today. Here we can see that the modal verb must indicates that there is an unavoidable need or obligation to take the medicine. This modal verb will always be translated as duty. Grammar structure. There are 4 properties or qualities in modal verbs. They should never be conjugated, as we saw in the previous section. They modify other verbs, that is, after a modal verb there is always a verb in its infinitive form, without the to, for example, you can clean it better. They express suggestions, ability, probability, obligation, certainty, capacity, permission, advice, request, need or disposition. The negative or interrogative form of a modal verb does not need an auxiliary, since the verb in question is used for those purposes. For example, I can't cry, can you draw a gear? Can you draw a gear? In the following 3 objectives we can easily explain in the following way, explaining the conjugations, the uses and affirmative, negative and interrogative questions using a small definition of each one of them with their respective examples. Let's review in a clear and easy way the context in which each of these 10 modal verbs should be used. Dog. It is mostly used to express ability or possibility. If translated into Spanish it would be power. For example, I can teach you. Ella she can't come this weekend. Can she play the drums? Could. It is mainly the past tense form of can, and is used to express possibilities and ask or make requests in a formal tone. For example, you could get up early. I could not deliver my work. Could you call me later, please? May. The use of this modal verb can express a probability or a possibility. For example, he may be proud of her. They may not publish our book. May I go to the bathroom? Mighty. This modal verb is used from expressing possibilities, requests or suggestions to offers. For example, I might help you. This phone might not work, it's too old. Might I find him tomorrow? Will. This is the most popular modal verb as it expresses the future, but in its modal verb form it is mostly used to express a clear and direct intention to do something or a momentary decision. For example, They will learn Japanese. He won't take the bus with us. Will she write a complaint? Would. This modal verb can be used to show repetitive actions in the past and to make requests in a friendly or courteous tone. For example, Ella, she would never go to that place. He would ride his own horse every summer. Would you be my Valentine? Must. Mainly its use exposes a commitment or a need, and in some situations it can manifest an assumption. For example, you must show appreciation. He must not return later. Must they eat for breakfast? Shall. In general terms, its meaning is the same as will, but it has ceased to be used in the United States. For example, we shall ask first. Ella, she shall not enter. Shall I call an ambulance? Should. We can translate this modal verb into Spanish as duty, and for purposes of its use it can mean a recommendation or an obligation. For example, Ella, she should take a painkiller. I should not lose the guarantee. Should I do it now? Ought to. This modal verb is used in the same way as should, although it is rarely used, but it is important to take it into consideration. For example, I ought to go before the sunset. Ella, she ought not to be ashamed. We ought to talk about it.